Something like a family. It's your brother Landon X. Turn this off. And this is Nation Town TV live. All praise due to Allah. Shout out to everybody chiming in today. Y'all saw what the caption said. We're dealing with Jim Crow 2.0. Jim Crow 2.0. When y'all saw those photographs, particularly the one on the left, which was just released to the world through Associated Press just last week. First thing I thought of was what I saw over there to the right. Now, some of you may have been shaken by this, surprised by this, saddened by this. For me, it was just another day in the USA. Let's get to it. Let's talk about it.
Rio, Rio, Rio. Sound like a family. Again, it's your brother Landon X. This is Nation Town TV live, and we are dealing with, as I mentioned before, Jim Crow 2.0. We're gonna talk about what Jim Crow even means, and what do I mean by Jim Crow 2.0, based on what you see in that image and what's going on with our brothers south of the border. Now, let me just go ahead and start off in the proper fashion. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, who is seen as the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians and the Mahdi of the Muslims. If you look at him and you're looking at him from a certain angle, he will appear to you as such. But he came wearing many hats, and he manufactured those hats, and he put them on a couple of other brothers, because that's his duty as God in
person. And I know he did that. I know that he had a messenger just as the Holy Quran says that he will. The Holy Quran not only says that Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, peace be upon him, is the messenger of Allah, but it also says that certainly, there is a messenger for every nation. And then it says that we are ever sending messengers, as it says in the Holy Quran, Surah 44 and 5. And for this nation, for this time, and this hour, this dispensation, that messenger is none other than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who at minimum is the messenger of Allah, but in fact, the exalted Christ. Another hat that was handed out was to another man, who is the only reason that I can tell you about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad or Master Fard Muhammad. I can only speak on these men because of the divine leadership, teaching, and guidance of this man right here, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in those three great names, I greet you in the words of peace. We say it to the Nation Town family in the Arabic language. That's the language that we spoke long before we knew anything about the grafted, bastardized language called English. In fact, it's the language that we spoke long before we knew anything about the grafted bastard that taught us the English language. Speaking of your friend, the Caucasian, and in those words, we greet you in the words of peace. Of salam alaikum. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Brother Hakeem. I see you, dear brothers and sisters that will be chiming in. Wa alaikum salam. Hit us up with your questions and comments. I say this every week, and I promise, Nation Town family, I mean this every week. We won't be on long, but we do intend to be on strong. We've been running kind of long the last couple of episodes. On this topic, I'm just going to hit it and be done with it. But we may revisit it later on. But as you see, the topic, Jim Crow 2.0. What does Brother Landon mean by that? My normal and usual, tried and true, committed Nation Town TV subscribers and followers understand that we don't always come at things the way everybody and their mama does. We usually give things a week or so to kind of digest, to really look at it, and do as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, and look at God's hand in it, and not in a spooky way, but in a scientific way. And what we want to do, first and foremost, you know what you're looking at. This is Nation Town TV Live, which is always brought to you by none other than NationTownStore.com. Special shout out to all of our NationTownStore.com consumers. This has been by far 2021. 2020 was a record breaking year for NationTownStore.com. 2021 is already blowing it out the water, and we appreciate your love and support. Hit us up for that, but also make sure you subscribe, man. If you're a non-Nation Town TV subscriber on YouTube, Facebook, and or Instagram in 2021, man, just what are you doing with your life? But go ahead and subscribe, and also hit that bell so you can get notifications when we go live. You never know when we gonna go live, but and we got some surprises in store for our family out there. But also make sure y'all hit us up and show us some love on Cash App. $Nation Town. Nation Town. Just to show us some love, whether it's 50 cents, a dollar, or a million. Whatever's in your mind, whatever's in your heart, and of course, whatever's in your pocket. We don't advocate sending your rent money to Nation Town TV. We're not gonna be mad at you if you do, but you know your wife might be, your children might be, and your own your own personal condition might be mad at you. But just show some love to your brother here at Nation Town TV and the whole Nation Town TV family through $Cash App. Nation Town on Cash App. But we're gonna get right to it, family. I want y'all to hit us up with your questions and comments. But first, what I'm gonna do, because things come up in the media, they come up in the news. Make sure y'all sharing this content, get it out there as best you can. We have links on Facebook. We have links on Instagram. Make sure you share that information, get it out there so more people can get this message. Because like I said, I'm not going to be on as long as usual. But when things pop up in the media, I don't really think those of us who consider ourselves so-called woke or conscious understand how important it is to stick to the news and to know what's going on. Even the things like politics. It don't mean you got to run out and vote for anybody, to vote between the lesser of two evils. You ain't got to do all that. But you should always be aware, and especially for those of us who consider ourselves students of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, ask yourself a very quick question. With all of the great students that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has forged, that he has built almost, or rebuilt, I should say, from the ground up after the destruction of this world, how many of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's best students were politically ignorant, socially ignorant? They didn't know what was going on in the world and the times. Sometimes they even knew about what was going on in the world to a fault, because there were some things that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan today call on us not to speak on, or to tread lightly when we speak on it. But we are not to be, any wide awake black man or woman, aboriginal man or woman, are not to be ignorant of the times. But that's a part of what NationTown TV is for. We want to help you keep up on the times and look at things from a NationTown viewpoint. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, which is a quick cheat sheet of what's going on with our brothers, otherwise known as the Haitian people. But I'm gonna say our brothers, and I'm putting the emphasis on that because I'm giving you a little sneak peek of how we're gonna get into this. But what's going on with our brothers in Haiti? It's gonna be a quick sneak peek so you can see for yourself and you can get abreast to what's going on, because it's extremely important. It's just as important as if it happened. If you live in LA, it's just as important as if it happened on Crenshaw. If you live in Kansas City, it's just as important as if it happened on Prospect. If you live in Atlanta, it's just as important as if it happened on Campbellton Road. Wherever you live, it's just as important that you know about this situation and what's actually going down. So we're going to get a little refresher course real quick on what's going down with our brothers beneath the border. Please pay attention. No, no, no.
Eres de allá, en México. No! Hey, you use your women? This is why your country, because you use your women for this. You go, that way.
Estamos pasando súper mal en la familia, le manda plata a nosotros y nosotros no podemos comer. Tenemos niños y sin pañales, mira. Ahora tengo que cruzar al lado mexicano con la plata mojada para poder ir a comprar algo para el niño. Y no tenemos nada ya, no podemos comer. Necesito ayuda con lo que está pasando con nosotros allá, porque tiene muchísimos niños, está llevando solamente los solteros y los niños que ha votado. Imagínate.
Permite, Padre, que podamos cruzar esta línea y podamos llegar, Señor, al lugar donde tú quieres. Que podamos cruzar y llegar a la frontera, y por qué no, Padre, llegar al otro lado con nuestros familiares y tener una mejor vida. ¡Vamos! ¡Vamos!
Porque ahí están los guardias de mexicanos. ¿Qué puede hacer? No puede cruzar ahí, no puede cruzar allá. ¿Qué deben hacer? no hay opciones porque ellos me pueden llevar para esta parte, pero ellos te llevan y te mandan para atrás y uno pierde toda la plata que tenía. Entonces ahí si te llevan allá para México, para Tapachula, ¿cómo me va a venir? ¿Qué va a hacer ahora?
Les que nous relèvons, nous pas descendre, ils font un gens pour nous calmer, nous, ils ferment mission avec nous. Tout d'abord, même battre mesdames, battre messieurs. Ou battre mesdames, qui est-ce que battre Américains.
These can provide. We're working with the local medical facilities for additional care.
So there it is. You see the situation that's going on. And shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Brother Cornelius. All praises due to Allah. Wa alaikum salam. He says black first, second, and third all day. Black all day. All praises due to Allah. We're going to talk about blackness as well because it's deeper than what some seem to understand. But one thing that has always bothered me, well, actually, I didn't really realize it until I was almost done with grade school or public school, is the fact that in America, public schools and most private schools, unless they are black operated and owned, teach us, black and aboriginal children and even white children, that racism is this little trend like bell bottoms and afros or zoot suits or finger waves or jerry curls. It's like this little trendy thing that took place a long time ago, 50, 60, 70 years ago, in this little window of time called the civil rights era and or slavery, Western chattel slavery. But then something magical happened in the 80s and it just all went away. The name of this episode, the topic I should say, is Jim Crow 2.0. Because when you think about it, right now, this is so amazing. I'm using two devices to shoot this video. And with these two devices, I could also make a phone call with either one of them. And the camera that you're looking at from, that's amazing. Look how far the telephone has come from 60 years ago. There used to be where you picked up a phone and it was this real ugly contraption. And you click down on the little receiver, and then you would get an operator. And you had all these women, mostly women did the job, and they just moved these wires around, and then the operator would answer it, and then you would tell them, connect 227, and then they'll connect with somebody around the corner, and you get this real, barely clear phone call where you talk to somebody. And then it went to the rotary phones, and then the pay phones, and then the brick cell phones, and now you got cell phones where essentially 8-year-olds are walking around with the whole world in their pocket, all the information, good or bad, that they could ever want in their pocket. So look how much the telephone has advanced just in the last 100 years. Look at the television and how it's advanced in just the last 80 years. You remember them big old floor model TVs that your grandma had with another TV on top of it? The TV itself, the whole contraption was as wide as the wall itself. It had like a 20-inch screen on it, a tube screen that was made out of pure thick glass with a hot tube behind it. You had to get 5 or 6 brothers just to pick that thing up and move it to the other side of the room, much less move it out of the house. Now you have televisions that are literally this thin and wider than your wall, and you can do all kinds of things on those. You can operate your laptop or your computer on your TV screen. So much has advanced over the years. What makes you think racism hasn't advanced? Imagine somebody coming from the 1940s They got into a time machine and then they came here to 1921. They would probably, if they only came here for 10 minutes and then went right back to the 1940s, they would go back to the 1940s and tell everybody that in 2021, nobody has a telephone. Because they would come here to 2021 looking for that old, ugly contraption that they got to pick up, click the little receiver, and then get a operator. They would not see that anywhere. They would see people with these things to their head. They would see people with these weird earbuds and all that kind of stuff, but they wouldn't see the phones that they're used to. So they will go back to the 1940s and tell everybody and their mama that the telephone does not exist in 2021. People just walking around talking to themselves. That's what they would go back and tell everybody. And that's how we act today about racism. You think because you don't see the same kind of racism in the same places and in the same kind of ways, we have children thinking that it does not exist. Like I saw a meme that meant well, an internet social media meme that meant well. And it was halfway there. But the sister that posted it, the meme actually said, it was saying that, do you realize, it showed a picture of one of the sisters being integrated into an all white school. And of course, they were hissing and booing and throwing things at the sister and all that kind of stuff. And in the meme, it points out that everybody in the picture, all the white people in the picture, are just in their 60s or 70s today. But in the meme description, it said, this is for people who think racism ended 60 years ago. And I agree with it on its face, but it just shows how much they push that in public schools, that racism is a thing of the past, because you don't see us still trying to integrate a lunch counter or a bathroom, a toilet, an all white school. You don't see those kind of things. So you think, and we think, and it's put out there that racism is over. But let's talk about Jim Crow. Because see, Jim Crow, the actual Jim Crow laws and the thing that inspired that actual name, when that was introduced to the world, Jim Crow, if it's as if he were a person, which he technically was, he was a baby. He was a baby. That was a toddler version of Jim Crow that we were dealing with 70 years ago. Now, Jim Crow is a grown man. He's a grown man with a suit on. He's a grown man with power, with position and sway. And that's what we're going to go over real quick. But before we get into that, you know how we do on Nation Town. We don't just deal with things, and we especially try to sway away from colloquial thinking, meaning just what people think and what people say, but not what people really know. So what is Jim Crow? What is Jim Crow? And trust me, we still talking about our brothers and sisters below the border. But you know how we do it in Nation Town. We gotta hit it. We hit different on Nation Town. But shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Sister Yasiel Joy. Wa alaikum salam indeed. Definitely continue to show us love with the questions and comments. We will superimpose them over the screen. Make sure y'all share this information, get it out, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff. We won't be on long, but we do intend to be on strong. But let's look at it like this. First of all, let's get down to business. Let's make sure we understand what Jim Crow actually is. When we say Jim Crow 2.0, we got to really understand 1.0. Do you actually know what Jim Crow is, or who it is, or what it is? That's okay if you don't. That was a time you didn't even know your name. You didn't even know how to spell your name. You didn't even know your mama's real name. She was just mama. That's okay. You learned over time. So let's get to it. First of all, Jim Crow is essentially laws. They were a collection of state and local statutes that legalized racial segregation. It was named after a black minstrel show character. The laws, which existed for about 100 years and going, from the post-Civil War era until 1968, so they say, were meant to marginalize African Americans by denying them the right to vote, hold jobs, get an education, or other opportunities. Those who attempted to defy Jim Crow laws often faced arrest, fines, jail sentence, violence, and death. But check this out. Jim Crow laws expand. At the start of the 1880s, big cities in the South were not wholly beholden to Jim Crow laws, and black Americans found more freedom in them. Now, I'm going to stop right there, but I'll go ahead and read the next one. This led to substantial black populations moving to the cities. Okay, now I'm going to stop right there because this is real important. Because in my lifetime, you know, the great migrations of black people in America have already passed. They took place in the Reconstruction era in the 40, 50 years after slavery. So what I see in my generation, I'm talking about the last 30, 40, 50 years, we've fallen in love with these cities that we so-called are from and that we live in. And what's interesting is nowadays when our people move from one city to another, it's just to play. And the reasons that we move are foolish reasons. Oh, I'm moving to Atlanta. What you moving to Atlanta for? Well, you know, I heard it was cracking. I heard it was popping. Oh, okay. See, our ancestors, our forefathers, they moved to these cities because they can get a job. They were less likely to get hit over the head and tied to the back of a truck on a back road somewhere. You know, so they had more opportunity. They felt like they would be a little bit safer. These were more liberal institutions, more liberal locales. But they were essentially going for the jobs. You see a similar situation with our so-called brown brothers, Hispanic, so-called Latino brothers coming out of Central America and Mexico. You see, they go where the jobs are. They're not saying, oh, where the clubs at, who got the best football team, who got the best rappers from it, and all that. They ain't worried about none of that. That's why, you know, out here on the West Coast, they call them Paisas. You can find our Paisa brothers anywhere. You can find them in Oklahoma, find them in Illinois, you'll find a little community in almost every major city in America today where Mexicans live who simply came here and are coming here to get a job. A lot of them send money back via Western Union because the value of the dollar is just so much more than the peso. So they send that money back, help out their families back home. They don't mind living 10, 15 to an apartment. You know, it's all good. They here to work. We had that same spirit. You see the entrepreneurial spirit of our so-called Latino brothers. We had that same. How you think Black Wall Street was built? In all of the 60 plus towns that were built, we had this. Now we moved to a city just because we broke up with our girlfriend and we just want a fresh start. That's the kind of foolishness that we do now. So this is telling you that Jim Crow had a lot to do with why you are from where you from. It ain't got nothing to do with, oh, you just came up out the dirt because you just a St. Louis kind of nigga. You just an Atlanta kind of nigga. You just an LA nigga to the heart. No, your grandpa needed a job. Like the young girl say, period. That's it. That's it. So let's keep it going. Shout out to everybody chiming in. We see you. Keep hitting us up with your questions and comments. All praises due to Allah. Sister Yasiel said, wow, ATL, Raleigh, Charlotte, the South. Absolutely, absolutely. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving, family. Because what I want to do, I want to bust up some realities about Jim Crow. Now, I pointed out that the name Jim Crow comes from a minstrel show character. And trust me, I'm still talking about the situation with our brothers coming out of Haiti. But I just want you to ride around, just roll around the roundabout with me real quick. Y'all know how we do it on NationTown TV. But before we get to that, Thomas Dartmouth Rice, he speaks on the minstrel show culture. And he says an actor born in New York is considered the father of minstrelsy, a white man. After reportedly traveling to the South and observing slaves, Rice developed a black stage character called Jim Crow in 1830 with quick dance moves, an exaggerated African American vernacular, and buffoonish behavior. This is one of the plays right here, Jim Crow, and these were white people who would dress as black people. But the first popular minstrel show was Jim Crow. It goes on further to say it's an assertion of power and control. They're talking about these minstrel shows. An assertion of power and control, says David Leonard, a professor of comparative ethnic studies and American studies at Washington State University. It allows a society, pay very close attention. Those of you who follow the minister, this is going to sound very familiar. It allows a society to routinely and historically imagine African Americans, so-called African Americans, as not fully human. It serves to rationalize violence and Jim Crow segregation. The minister has been talking for many years about how they allow some of the buffoonish and violent and savage images portrayed of us by Hollywood to go all around the world. So when they slaughter us, when they imprison us, when they destroy us, when they oppress us, when they do anything to us wholesale, nobody in the world flinches because they don't see you as a human to begin with. So it's like, you America would be worse off if footage traveled all over the world of Americans kicking dogs in the mouth than it would be how they treat our Haitian brothers, how they treat our so-called brown brothers, putting babies in cages on the border in Texas. They would be better. They would be worse off if footage got out there that Americans were kicking cats in the mouth. Everybody, the whole world would lose their mind, except for certain parts of Asia. But moving on, but all praise is due to Allah. So this is important when we consider Jim Crow 2.0 and what's going on with our brothers in Haiti. But look at this right here. This is an actual old minstrel show picture. Richardson Pringles, famous minstrels. We see pictures like this and images like this to this very day. Think I'm lying? To this very day. If you ever look at the style of dress of a minstrel, whether it's a black in blackface, a black man in blackface, or a white person in blackface, the clothes they are wearing is what was popular and also considered trendy and cool of that time. They might be a little tattered, a little raggedy, but they would have suits on, a tie. They would, look like they living the high life for a Negro. And to this day, you see the same image pushed through hip hop culture. They got the most expensive jewelry. They spent $400,000 on the chain, and it's really only worth like 40 grand after they appraise it. And they steady smiling, grinning, pearly whites. They gold grill, they platinum grill for the camera. A lot of y'all might be asking the question, what does this have to do with Haiti, Brother Landon? What does this have to do with Haiti? Well, in our Supreme Wisdom lessons, Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1, question number 6, it begs a question: why does the devil call our people Africans? And the answer is to make our people of North America believe that the people on that continent are the only people we have and are all savage. That the people on that continent are all the people we have on this earth, and all of them are savage. See, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, in answering these questions given to him by Master Farah Muhammad, they were right on time. This is how you know that he was taught by God directly, because he laid out. Keep in mind, the movie industry is barely 100 years old. When the most honorable Elijah Muhammad was being taught by Master Farah Muhammad, the movie industry was as old as maybe social media. It wasn't that old at all. It wasn't that old at all. But they already were laying out the game plan of the enemy. But let's keep it moving. So that's why this has something to do with our brothers in Haiti, because here's my issue with us. I say things, I crack jokes and whatnot about the Caucasian, but y'all know on NationTown TV, I spend more time talking about us and what we need to improve and what we need to do. But Jim Crow 2.0, I gave it that name Because when things happen like what's been going on in Haiti, situation in Cuba, even with our brown brothers in Mexico, situation in Africa, all through the mighty continent of Africa, from as north as Kenya all the way down to Botswana and South Africa. Too many so-called black folks in America talk about them like they're them. Man, they doing bad in Africa. They doing bad in Haiti. Man, their president got shot. They had an earthquake. They getting whipped like slaves in Texas in 2021. They really, really. But that's what our supreme wisdom foretold. It said they want you to think that Africa is all we have, and that everybody in Africa even is all savage. So we have the enemy's mind to the point where we don't have enough room. We got so much room in our heart for our open enemy that we leave very little for our brothers throughout the world. Now, some of y'all might be saying, well, Brother Landon, I know some Haitians. I know some Dominicans. I know some Jamaicans. I know some Caribbeans. I know some Africans, and they don't really like us. You even have organizations, religious organizations here in America who teach that Africans are not even our brothers. Even though we all grew up with somebody that looked just like somebody that you might have saw on the news in Zimbabwe, but that's neither here nor there. And anybody that's thinking that right now, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right that there are some Caribbeans and Africans who come over here and they act a certain way toward us. Kind of like how we act a certain way toward each other. I mean, what do you call gang violence? What kind of mind is that? Oh, it's the same Caucasian mind that was fed to us. Listen, the Caucasian has taken his show on the road for years. He didn't hesitate. In fact, the transatlantic slave trade was proof of that. He been on a 400-year tour. He been going all over the world with his message of white supremacy. And y'all can miss me with that, oh, I don't believe in white supremacy because they ain't supreme to me. That's because you don't understand language. Supremacy does not mean an actual fact that currently exists. It means an agenda. It means something that they're trying to put on the people. So white supremacy is a world tour. Like that old Tribe Called Quest song, I'm on a world tour with a mic in my hand. They've been on a world tour with a whip in their hand without Muhammad, my man. So they've been all over the world with this. So when we run into our people that are from these places, yeah, they gonna give you the cold shoulder. Hell, they got the white man's mind. No, they from Haiti. That's a sovereign nation. We're gonna talk about that in a hot second. No, it is not. It's not as sovereign as you think. Just look at their names. Look at the names of their cities. Look at the language that they speak. Come on, man. Port-au-Prince. They come over here and their name is Dessalines and Javier and all of this. Come on, man. It's French. Right across the border, it's Spanish. So, and then you got other Caribbean nations that are dominated by the British. So they have the same European mind that we've taken on here in America. So that's why you may get a cold shoulder. Some of them may treat you funny, just like we treat each other funny, just like we be out in the streets and look at each other some kind of way. Or we act funny based on an ideology or a way of thinking or a religion or even the color that we represent or the hood we from and all this kind of stuff. We do the exact same thing because we all operating with the enemy's mind. Now, when I say that it's not a Haitian issue, this is a black issue. Like my brother said earlier, he said he's black first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Let me take a moment to defend. I never thought when I was younger, I never thought I'd see the day of this, where you would have to defend using the word black around so-called intelligent black people. Somebody got hold to a Caucasian compiled dictionary and have decided to believe that there's a negative context to the word black. Almost every episode, I have to remind the NationTown TV live viewers that according to our teachings in the Nation of Islam, from that same supreme wisdom, it teaches us that when we drove the Caucasian into the hillsides and caves of Europe, we stripped them of everything except for, come on, Nation Town family, help me out. Help me out. We took everything from them except what? Their shoes. We took everything from them except herbs and spices. That's why their food is so bland. No, 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 no. Maybe we took that too. We took that too. It said everything except for the language. So the Caucasian in those caves began to tinker with language and the concept of language long before they tinkered with anybody else or anything else. What did they do with us in the transatlantic slave trade? What did they do to our Native American brothers when they showed up here in the Western civilization? They tampered them. They murdered them. They oppressed them. They changed their own identity of themselves. So you know they did it with the language. In fact, the English language is one of the youngest and most bastardized languages that exist. But that's what the white man has been taught since Musa went to civilize him. They were taught rulership and the forgotten technology, but it was based in rulership, something that needs to be taught in the black community, starting with the black household all over again. We gotta learn how to own things again. I'm not just talking about owning land, which is a beautiful thing. I bear witness. However, we're taught about who the original man is in our supreme wisdom lessons. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth. Hold on, back up, rewind. The maker, the owner. And that not only means own your car, own the land you live on. That's all good things to go by. But own the words that come out of your mouth. What does black really, really mean? Black is not a color. You know, they say, shout out to the Nation Town family. Keep hitting us up with your questions and comments. All praises due to Allah. We see you. We see you. Brother Cornelius said, yes, sir. Sister Shana Joy X said, the language, absolutely. Sister Yasiel, good students. The language, all praises due to Allah. That's right. All of us, U.S., pretty much everywhere have been divided. That's right. But you know, they always tell people, especially in the corporate world, think outside the box. Think outside the box. Get out of the matrix. Think outside the box. Well, on this topic of blackness, and we ain't gonna be on much longer, family, I promise. We gotta think outside the crayon box. Think outside the crayon box for a minute, family. Just for a minute. When you hear that word black, I got a homework assignment for the Nation Town family and everybody that's watching. I want you to look up something called dark matter. Dark, Dark, not Black Lives Matter, dark matter. Dark matter. It's one of the most inexplicable things in the universe from Caucasian scientists. They don't understand it. I fully understand it thanks to the teachers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But Google it, dark matter, and what it is. Dark matter is what I'm talking about when I say black. I'm not talking about a color. I'm thinking outside the crayon box. I'm talking about the essence in which all color comes from. Let me keep going on that definition of the original man as far as our teachings tell us and teach us. Who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the God of the universe. God of the universe. God of the universe. What is that universe? In fact, when we say stop thinking inside the box, get out the box, the word that we often use is be universal, right? Be universal. Let's talk about the universe for a minute. First of all, when you look up at the sky, if it's still night or still daytime where you are,
and you look up and see the blue sky, that's a lie. You're not looking at anything that's truly blue. You're looking at actual gases, fumes, and particles in the sky that are reflecting off the direct light of the sun, causing it to appear blue. When nighttime comes around wherever you live, that's the true color of the sky because it's a true reflection of the universe. You see the backdrop of space, the backdrop of the universe? That's the palm of Allah God's hand because He black as you are. That is material darkness back there. That's not the absence of light. How can it be the absence of light with all them stars? How can it be the absence of light with the sun sitting right there? That's because you're not looking at a shadow. That's bootleg darkness. When I say black, I'm talking about the same black you see in the universe. That is the palm of God. That is the back of God. That is the triple darkness, material darkness of space, otherwise known by Caucasian scientists as dark matter, which is the source and the essence of all color. So, dear family, I just had to give that disclaimer before we went any further that I'm talking about a blackness that preceded your crayon box. But if you must keep thinking out your crayon box, I got an assignment for you for that too. Take your child's crayons, do it while they're not looking so they won't start crying. Take your child's crayon, empty all the crayons out the box, and take each crayon, get a piece of paper, and I want you to draw a circle with each crayon, but keep overlapping on that same circle with each crayon. So that way, you've colored each crayon, each color into the same circle. And keep doing that. Keep doing that. And then when you've used every crayon in that box, I want you to stand back and look at that circle that you drew on that piece of paper and tell me what color it is. I give you a hint. It won't be yellow. It won't be purple. It won't be blue. It won't be red. It's going to look a lot like you because black is the essence in which all color comes from. So when I say black, I'm talking about my so-called Hispanic family. I'm talking about all of the darker people of this earth when I say black. I just wanted to make sure that we covered that before we went any further. Shout out to everybody chiming in. All praises due to Allah. That's right, Sister Yasiel. We dealing with black and dark matter. So that's why this is titled Jim Crow 2.0. Because we are absolutely going through the same things, but Jim Crow is more sophisticated now. He's Harvard and Yale educated. He's been around the world. He got a big old thick white beard. He drinks tea with the saucers. He's a very sophisticated man. He was just a baby when he was chasing us down with dogs and fire extinguishers and all of that in the streets. He was just a baby back then. He's a grown man now. So you see him on an international scale, and if you look close enough, he's doing the exact same things that he ever did. That he ever did. And here's also the reason why I called this Jim Crow 2.0. We're also taught in our lessons, I believe it's Lost Found Muslim lesson number 2, question number 34, where it begs the question, can we reform the devil? But in that answer to that question, it points out that we outnumber the Caucasian 11 to 1. When I say we, now you probably think, hold up, Brother Landon, we a minority. I watched the election. It's just 13%. We just 12, 13%. Well, see, that's when you're thinking in a divided fashion. And then we further divide ourselves from that. Divide ourselves from skin tone. What city we from? We from the north, we from the south. Are you Christian or are you Muslim? Are you this or are you that? Are you Crip or are you Blood? But trust me, if the entire Aboriginal black family moved in solidarity, we would outnumber this enemy 11 to 1. But since we don't move in that solidarity, it don't mean uniformity where we all dressing the same, walking the same, talking the same, calling God by the same name. No. It's just that when we see trouble
for our people on the other side of the earth, on the other side of the city, on the other side of the block. We know that that's my brother, that's my sister. And it's deeper than just saying it. You got to show it. This is 2021. Also in our lessons, we say, uh, we also say word is bond, bond is life. And I will give my life before my word shall fail. And that's true of a true Muslim. But for non-true Muslims and non-Muslims in general, in 2021, as we always talk about on NationTown TV, word is your pocketbook. How are we spending our money? Who are we sending our children to learn? Where do we prefer to live? Who do we prefer to live around? So we could talk about solidarity out our mouth, but our actions got to follow it up. And I'm going to give you a really clear example of how actions can be followed up. Now, let me come back to what's going on with our brothers in Haiti, because I'm having a little issue here. If I trusted what America claims to be, you got to have an issue here. Shout out, speaking of issues, make sure you go out and get the latest issue of the Final Call newspaper, where it deals with this exact same topic. No respect for black life. I like that emphasis. It didn't say no respect for Haitian life. It didn't have no little cute word for what we like to say, melanated and all of that. No, 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 no. ADOS and no, 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 no. Black. You got to think outside the crayon box. Think outside the crayon box. Think into the universe for a minute. Think into the universe. Come up out the crayon box called Earth for a minute. All of it belongs to you, so you might as well step out for a minute just like you step out your house. No respect for black life. But look at the hypocrisy of your favorite man on this earth, mankind on this earth called the Caucasian. Look at his hypocrisy. On the Statue of Liberty, it has these words. Think about this when you turn on your TV and you see how they're treating our so-called Hispanic brothers on the border, our so-called Haitian brothers and sisters on the border, even how they treat them far overseas, thousands of miles away. This is what's on the Statue of Liberty, sitting right there, facing the rest of the world. Look at what this broad is saying, who, by the way, was built by the French. Literally, she's French. Says, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Oh, ain't that cute? The golden door. Send us your tired, your huddled masses, your wretched, you're homeless. Oh, but let's see though. Let's look now. That's the promise of America. Do they look tired? Do they look wretched? Do they look like? I mean, they not tired. They look like the side of your favorite Caucasian-owned laundry detergent. They look tired. They don't look tired. Tired. They was tired 50 miles out of Haiti. By the time they made it to Texas, man, our brothers and sisters down there was tired. Are these huddled masses? Do they look homeless? They doing exactly what homeless people do here in America. They living under a bridge. But they were all turned away. They were all deported immediately. But this is the promise though. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shores. Send the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my light. Man, please. As we like to say, nigga, please. And there is no bigger nigga than the Caucasian in his world. But let's look at this. You go talk to a bitter sister that's bitter about her relationships. Go talk to a bitter brother that's bitter about his relationships with black women. A black woman that's bitter about her relationships with black men. This ain't revolutionary relationships, but I'm going to use this analogy. They'll tell you that they tired of being lied to. They tired of being disrespected. They tired of not being valued. They tired of not being loved and honored and caressed and given all this different types of respect and support, emotional support, financial support, love, and all of that. A woman should give, some of those things to men, and men should give some of those things to women. I get it. But like we say on NationTown TV, somebody beat me to it, please. Keep that same energy with your enemy. Look at the promise that he has had posted up in the biggest city in the world for years, for decades, the Statue of Liberty. When people pull up in New York City from other countries, that's what they see standing right offshore, the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, give me your blah, 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 blah. That's the biggest lie ever told, and it's written in cement. It's written in stone, literally. We say, word is bond, bond is life, and I give my life. What about your favorite Caucasian? You say, well, oh, Brother Landon, I feel you, man. I don't trust him. I don't trust him. Okay, well, do our actions show that? I ask myself this every day. Because if your ex-boyfriend or your ex-girlfriend, your baby mama, or whoever that you got a problem with and bitter about still, if they came knocking on your door and tried to sell you something, would you buy it? Knowing that that money is going right in their pocket and help them live a better life and possibly spend it on their new girlfriend or their new boyfriend, money that they should be giving you for the child and all that kind of, you gonna buy whatever they selling? If they knock on your door and say, hey, give me your child, I want to teach him. The same person that disrespected you, cheated on you, lied to you, you gonna give them the children to teach? You only some of these relationships, they argue over custody and over just time with the child because they don't trust them. They don't trust them. I understand some of these sisters don't even want their baby daddy, so-called baby daddy, to spend time with the child because they don't trust him. He told them so many lies, treated them so bad. So now you're denying him his own flesh and blood. Well, keep that same energy with your enemy. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to hurt no feelings. I know somebody out there mad at me about that, but it's facts. So what's the solution? Y'all know what the solution is. Y'all see this brother over my shoulder. It's actually three brothers over my shoulder. If you look real close, there's a brother right there. Let me give you a closer picture of him. Shout out to my brother Ali Rashid, who made this picture behind me for me. But that's the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad. What's his solution? Separation. Separation. In fact, he says that separation is quite simply the best and only solution. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. I see you. But we're going to go deeper into that solution. We're going to go deep into that solution before we get out of here. We about to get out of here real quick, family. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Brother Cornelius. He said they were also kicked out of Brazil, Central America, and Mexico. They spoke of the racism from those areas as well. Absolutely. In fact, Brazil, let me touch on Brazil real quick. Brother brought up a good point. The sad thing about Brazil, a lot of people don't know this, but Brazil actually is the home of the largest population of black people, descendants of Africa, outside of Africa. Not America, not even if you combine every Caribbean island, if you combined all the black people in Mexico, yeah, they got black people in Mexico, all the way down to Belize. If you combine all of them, you still wouldn't add up to the number of black Africans, descendants from Africa, descendants of slaves as well, that live in Brazil. But it's absolutely one of the most racist places in the world. They also have a deep, deep caste system and color complex that almost makes America black, so-called black people in America look like we all wide awake compared to some of the color and caste systems and color complexes that you see in some of these other nations, even some of these Caribbean nations like the Dominican Republic. It's brothers walking around New York right now look darker than me, wider nose than me, bigger lips than me. Swear to God, they not black. So it's like that old saying: divided we fall. Divided we fall. If you this over there and you that over there and you over there that you that over there and you this over there and you that over there, then that means one man can walk in that room of divided Negroes and divided people and knock y'all off one by one, and y'all won't have nowhere to run. But before we close out, I want to give you an example, because when I say separation is the best and only solution, I gotta really qualify that, because I don't think we talked about this before on Nation Town. I don't think we really know what separation really looks like. Let me give you an example of what could have happened and what should happen. Situations like Hurricane Katrina, which is what this Haitian situation reminds me of. They were calling, they were calling people out, our people in New Orleans refugees. Y'all remember that? It was just 2005. They were calling them Katrinians. Like Katrina, I know Katrina, kicked up dust, but I didn't know it started its own country. They were calling them Katrinians. They were calling them refugees. These were tax-paying black people in America. I stopped short of calling them Americans, because, like Malcolm said, as he was taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, hell, you can put puppies in an oven. That don't make them biscuits. And just because we're in America, don't make us American. But we are indeed black. But when I say that, and when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, and that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan guides us to and teaches us that separation is the best and only solution, it's deeper than just wordplay. It's deeper than just lip professing. Here's what I mean. Let me tell you what should have happened if we were successfully separated as a people. And Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, is going to help me out with this. Just wait. I got it. Just wait. How she gonna help? She gonna help me. Trust me. But here's what should have happened. When something like that happens, for example, let's say with Katrina, let's say there were just black people who just decided to be in Louisiana, even though black people were successfully separated in another part of America geographically, or if just as Americans we were successfully separated wherever we are in America. There should have been a treasury. There should have been a embassy. There should have been a phone number that all of them brothers and sisters after Katrina could have called. And when they called, somebody that looked like them and loved them would have picked up the phone, not FEMA. And then they could have come to us, not FEMA, not the Red Cross. It's red because it's slashed with the blood of the hopeless. But they should have been able to come to their own people and get that help. The Nation of Islam did a great work for the people of New Orleans based on what the resources of the nation had. Some of y'all probably, well, why don't the nation do this? When was the last time you contributed? I know when the last time you contributed to the white man. I don't have to ask you that. The new Jordans just came out. The PlayStation 5 just came out. The grocery store just restocked the king crab. So I know where your money going in that respect. When was the last time you supported the Nation of Islam directly? When was the last time you supported a brother from the Nation of Islam? In comparison to how you support the enemy. So successful separation, which starts with how we spend our money, how we spend our time and our mind, should have given our brothers refuge. There should have been refuge. There should have been a community in Texas waiting for our people from Haiti, waving at them on the shores like, come on, we got you. We got you. But instead, our goal, as all these different types of African Americans, that's what we are when we think like this, African Americans. Our goal in life is to just be the lapdog of our enemy. Just so we can have a good job, a good career, a nice house, drive a nice car, live in a good community, send our children to a good school, white school. I mean, good school. That's all we want. We want to make it out the hood. We the only people that think like that. Make it out, make it away, get away from our own self. Only people that think like that. Let me give you an example. That's right. Sister Shana Joy pointed out, we also provided a water purification system to Haiti. All praises due to Allah. We delivered tons upon tons of water to our brothers and sisters in Flint, Michigan. We're talking about the Nation of Islam. But we're dealing with pennies compared to our enemy because that's all we get from our people, our pennies. And a pat on the back. Man, y'all keep doing what y'all doing, man. Keep smoking, keep drinking, giving 98% of our money to the enemy. But somehow, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is supposed to magically do everything for everybody when we're not doing a damn thing for ourselves. Okay. But let me give you an example. Because you should never, even the minister teaches this. Don't ever teach anything without giving an example. Don't ever chastise the people for not doing something and you don't show them how. You don't give them something to replace whatever poor condition that they're currently in. Now, I'm going to give you an example. And before I even give you this example, and I'm going to be out, we're going to hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as well. I want you to get out of the mindset that white people control this world just because they do. Especially, you say, well, the teachers, brother Lynn, the teachers say the white man was given 6,000 years to rule. Yeah, let's dissect that. First of all, he was given 6,000. He wasted 2,000 in the hills and cave sides because he was so savage. He didn't know how to wipe. He didn't know how to walk upright or wipe his behind. So he wasted 2,000 just in the caves, eating his young and barking and howling at each other, scared of fire. But then when Musa came and civilized them, he spent the next 4,000 years fulfilling what was given to him. But that 6,000 year term expired in 1914. He was given a short extension, a respite that also expired in 1974. So his time is over. It's done. So the example I'm going to give you is an example that's been held up by what's essentially a zombie. The Caucasian in his world is a zombie world, meaning it's really dead, but it's still walking, but it's only walking around because we let it. But it's a zombie world. But let me give you an example out of that world, because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us and teaches us through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, make no mistake, to observe the operations of the white man. He is successful. He makes no excuses for his failures. He works in a collective manner. So let me give you an example of what separation looks like within a nation. A lot of people will have you believe that the Nation of Islam is something called anti-Semitic, which is a complete misnomer, because nobody who speaks the Arabic language, no matter how little or how much, and is black, can qualify for anti-Semitic. We are the original Semites, so that's neither here nor there. Actually, it is here and it is there, but we ain't gonna go there. But we're not anti-Semitic. In fact, we're taught that we should eat the same foods as the Jewish people here in America, the same types of foods and the same type of preparation. We're also taught to observe how they operate and how they raise their children. But let's look at a Jewish faction called the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, also known as AIPAC. AIPAC is an organization. I gotta call it what it is. They're like a mafia, but I mean that with the utmost respect. They are soldiers. They are soldiers for Israel and for Israeli and American Jewish causes. So much so that they force everybody who intends or wants to be president or stay president to kiss their ring. The APAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee. If you want to be president, you can't get to the White House without going through them. They've managed to do this despite it's less than 6 million of them in America. Them meaning the so-called Jewish. But their unity is unmatched. They will continue to spend money with their own people no matter what. You ever heard of Bernie Madoff? Every time you do business with a black man, as a black person, you always got in the back of your mind, is he scamming me? Is this a scam? When I put up that dollar sign NationTown, is that a scam? Are they really using that for the Yes Ma'am program? But in reality, Bernie Madoff is the greatest scam artist that ever lived. And he scammed his own people, Jewish people. And they trusted him because he was Jewish. I saw a very enlightening documentary about Bernie Madoff on HBO. And they were interviewing all of his victims, most of which were Jewish. And at the end of the documentary, after they went through all of the ups and downs of that situation, all the downs really, and these were people who lost their life savings to this man. He was just giving them invoices, fake invoices. He wasn't investing nothing. He wasn't doing anything with the money but collecting it and spending it. And they asked one of the couples, an old couple, who gave their retirement money because they thought that it was being doubled and tripled. They thought they were getting a dividend back because every invoice was telling them they were getting 8%, 9%, 15% back. They asked him, if somebody else comes to you with something like Bernie Madoff came to you with, would you trust them? The woman, the old Jewish lady, turned and looked at her old Jewish husband. He turned and looked at her. And they said, yeah. They said, we've done business in our community. Their exact words. I wish I could get a clip of it. We've done business with friends and people in our community for years. This is the only time this ever happened to us. And then the husband went further. He said, and if it happened to us 5 more times, I would keep doing it. Because we considered him a friend. We considered him he said everything except stopping short of saying we did it because he was our Jewish brother. Do you know when Jews moved into New York, right up there by that Statue of Liberty? You know they were renters. They didn't just come over here with bags of money. A lot of them, the money that they did have in Europe was taken from them by the SS guard. A lot of the Jews, I gotta say, they came over here poor. They were renters in New York. They were poor in New York. You see the push carts that our Mexican brothers have in the streets, especially if you live on the West Coast. Some of y'all might laugh at them. Oh, look at the Mexicans with their little fruit stands. Ha ha ha. First of all, they get money with them fruit stands and oranges and watermelons and roses. Second of all, that's just how the Jews started. But they supported each other so much that then they start going into the Anglo Irish and just non-Jewish owned businesses in their own community, and they start looking around and say, hey, how come you don't have any Hebrews in here? Oy vey, L'chaim. And then they started their own brick and mortars because the push carts turned into brick and mortars. And then when they saw a Jewish grocery store over here and then a non-Jewish, a Gentile store over there, what choice do you think they made? Oy vey, they going over to Hiram. They going to Hiram shop. They going to Abraham shop. They ain't messing with McCleskey and them and the McGillicuddy. The hell with them. I'm going to my people. They started in the same position we are right now. The word ghetto is a Jewish word that was meant to describe, that was originally describing poor Jewish communities, but they were so unified that now anybody who wants to be president, senator, or anything has to kiss their ring. And we not talking about thousands of years ago. We're talking about how they started in America 100 years ago. When we were balling on Black Wall Street, they were selling stuff off of push carts. Now, don't tell yourself, oh, it's because they white and they did it. Nah, see, you playing yourself. We outnumber them 11-1, but they outnumber us in rulership and in unity. But let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. And this is also shows the power that they yield. I'm gonna show you your sister, Kamala Harris. And this is one of the big, and I don't want to offend nobody that's watching, any AKAs out there, any black excellence, black girl power, black folks out there. I understand you just want to see black folks in high positions. I understand. I voted for Obama. And I got what I wanted. I got what I expected. I wanted to see the descendants of slaves walking across the White House lawn as residents and not just to help. You say, well, wait a minute, Barack Obama made decisions. Everybody else in that house was. His children, his wife, and remember his mother-in-law. Michelle's mama lived with him. So I got to see what I wanted to see. That's all I expected. I expect this man to do nothing for me. When the 43 presidents before him didn't and couldn't, even if they wanted to, what made you think he was going to undo? That's like a man standing on a train track and stopping a speeding locomotive, and he ain't Superman. Forget about it. He gonna get ran over just like Barack Obama got ran over. But anyway, listen to Kamala Harris, your girl. She's answering a question, and I'm guaranteeing you most of the people that watch this have seen this. She's answering a question because this sister so brilliantly, the sister that's interviewing her was pressing her to say what is she going to do for black people specifically. And Kamala Harris, usually when she's getting pressed, she start doing that goofy laugh. I hate it. Not I hate her, but I just hate that laugh. That's what she does when white people are pressing her. But just like many of us, we take white pressure and we bow. We say, "Oh, sir, I just want to." Like you see some of these videos where they have encounters with a Karen, and Karen is pressing them about why they in the neighborhood. Oh, we live here, and let me show you my keys. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm an astronaut. I graduated from Yale. Please leave us alone. But when we deal with each other, it's a world star moment. World star. Somebody get hit in the mouth, and somebody throw a chair, and it's going down. Kamala Harris is the same way. When she get pressed by white people, she grin and cackle. When she was getting pressed by the sister, she got a little. Hey man, maybe she was listening to Tupac out of Time Machine in college, because she got a little ghetto with her. She started bankhead bouncing and stuff. She started shaking her shoulders and was like, "Hold up, listen to your sister." She's asked the question, "What is she gonna do specifically for black
Really
people?"
be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because
Okay. Now check this out. Now what you saw from her, you have a sister who broke down and I love it. I love the fact that she was honest about what she said. That she was honest about what's going on. She said, I am not going to do anything specific for black people. Is done. So she was very honest about how she felt. Now, one thing I gotta say about our Moore Science Temple brothers, and we're gonna close in a second. I agree and disagree with the importance that they put on nationhood. I mean, I represent the Nation of Islam. How can I not? It's Nation Town. But nationhood has more to do with activity than it does what you say on out your mouth. Reciting your enemy's laws and holding up a card and just wearing a tassel that spins 360 degrees does not make nation. Nation is how do you spend your money? What do you send your children to learn? Where do you live? What do you fight for? What are you willing to die for? That's nationhood. But Kamala Harris knows enough about the Negro, not the black man, but the Negro, to know that we don't exhibit nationhood. We argue over what we should call ourselves. We argue and kill each other over blocks that we don't own. We hate each other. The black man hate the black woman. Black woman act like she hate the black man. We doing all of this foolishness. So she has nothing to be beholden to, nothing that she has to bow to. Now you heard, I'm gonna let you hear her one more time. And then I'm going to have you listen to her when she has to stand before APAC. Now, remember what she said now. She's not going to do something only for black people. Listen
Really
to
be
my
clear
sister.
about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. Because
Listen to what she said. She said, let me be clear about that. Let's hear her be very clear about something else and to a different group of people who are unified, who always are on code, who spend 98% of their money with each other, educate their own children, fortify their own communities. Let's see how she talks to those people.
never be a partisan issue. And as long as I'm a United States Senator, I will do everything in my power to ensure broad and bipartisan support for Israel's security and right to self-defense.
Hold up. She said she's going to do everything in her power for Israel. Now, they call Israel a state, but it's not a state in America. Israel is about 8,000 to 9,000 miles away. And it's really not even Israel, it's Palestine. But she said, as a senator running for president, that I will do everything in my power for Israel. But she's in America now. Pay attention. She's not in Israel telling Israel that she's going to do something for Israel. She's talking to people who just have a vested interest in Israel here in America. When Jews say Israel, they're not talking about a place on the map. When Jews say Israel, they're not talking about a certain specific nation with IDs and government and all. They're not really saying that. It's really a dog whistle word. Because Israel didn't even exist as we know it today until the late 1940s. When they say Israel, they talking about a Jew in Seattle, a Jew in New York, a Jew in Atlanta, a Jew in LA, a Jew in Texas, a Jew in Cuba, a Jew in Mexico, a Jew in Brazil. They talking about the international diaspora of Jewish people when they say Israel and when you hear others say Israel. You got to learn the language, learn the code words, learn the code. But let's listen to it again. But what I really want you to listen to this time, what I really want you to listen to this time, shout out to our brother official MNIB. I see you, dear brother. All praises due to Allah chiming in from across the pond. International NationTown TV family. What I really want you to hear this time, I want you to hear it all the way to the end. I want you to listen to some key words. Let me see if you pick it up. I ain't gonna give you no clues. We gonna get it up out of here after we hear from the minister. But listen to what she says at the end of this comment to APAC. But first, I want you to hear again what she said to black people. This disunified, self-hating group of people called black people that should be a nation in activity, not in lip profession, but in activity. Listen to what she says about black people, then listen to the whole thing of what she says to the Jewish community.
Be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because never be a partisan issue. And as long as I'm a United States Senator, I will do everything in my power to ensure broad and bipartisan support for Israel's security and right to self-defense.
Listen.
I believe that the only viable resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is two states for two people living side by side in peace and security.
Man, shout out to Kamala. That's my sister. I was looking for a reason to at least throw a bone. You know what I mean? She don't even know it, but she bared witness to the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. This self-hating sister that told her so-called own people, I ain't gonna do nothing for y'all. You think I'm gonna do something only for black people? Kiss my ass. But I gotta let you listen to this one more again. She said the only solution.
Never be a partisan issue. And as long as I'm a United States Senator, I will do everything in my power to ensure broad and bipartisan support for Israel's security and right to self-defense. I believe that the only viable resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is two states for two people living side by side in peace and security.
There it is. There it is. Two people, two states living side by side in security. That's what the Nation of Islam teaches. But it's something that has to be brought upon with the force of unity. Listen, man, I'm 100% in support of the struggle of Palestine. And I pray that they are successful. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that area of the world will be cleansed in blood. But listen, man, those Jewish people, they forced separation through unity. They did it in a wicked way. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us a righteous way to do it. A righteous way to do it. But she said two people, two states living side by side in peace and security. Thank you, Sister Kamala Harris. Even though you did the bankhead bounce and said you ain't gonna do nothing for black people, but thank you for that. Thank you for that. Even in your ignorance, you dropped a little bit of truth. Now, before we get out of here, family, I want y'all to listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And he's teaching to a large crowd of Haitians in Haiti. But as you listen to him, as we get up out of here, I want you to listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's language. As our Supreme Wisdom lesson says, there's more to be understood in the words. Listen to the possessive language that he uses. He's talking to the Haitian people. The minister's not from Haiti. But when he describes the Haitian people, he doesn't say y'all or over here. Y'all people in this part of the world, y'all gotta. He says us. But he's talking to the people of Haiti, so many of them that he had to have a French translator, a brother, translating in French. But listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as he speaks to the Haitian people, our brothers in Haiti. And I'm going to leave y'all as I greeted y'all in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Pour te permettre de sortir en bas domination yo. So when the French had the slaves,
les que français ont gagné l'esclave yo,
they took away our African names.
yo prend nom africain te gagné yo.
They took away our African language.
Yo prend langage africain qui te gagné yo.
They took away our African culture.
Yo prend culture africaine qui te gagné yo.
And they imposed on us their language,
Et puis yo imposé sur nous langage pa yo, langue pa yo,
their culture,
culture pa yo,
their religion,
religion pa yo,
to make us worship them as though they were God.
pour capable faire glorifier yo, tant que c'est bon Dieu que
To the east of Haiti
de est de Haïti,
is the Dominican Republic.
et c'est République dominicaine qui dans zone ça.
It was black Haitians
C'était haïtien noir yo,
under Toussaint,
sous Toussaint,
under Dessalines,
sous Dessalines,
and under Christophe
sous Christophe,
that freed this whole island,
qui t'a libéré toute île la net,
west and east.
de l'ouest à l'est.
But the Spanish,
Mais espagnol yo,
who have always been battling with the French,
qui était toujours qui qu'on a bataille avec français yo,
took that side of the island
prend parti ça dans île là,
and made the people to speak Spanish,
et puis fait moun en parti ça parler espagnol.
gave them Spanish
Li
names,
ba yo non espagnol,
gave them Spanish culture,
li ba yo en culture espagnol.
and made that side hate this side.
Li fait parti ça raï l'autre parti ça.
Again, my parents came from the British West Indies.
Encore une fois, parents moi sorti dans île côté que Grande-Bretagne était qu'on a contrôlé yo.
So now we speak English.
Là kounya là nous parler anglais peut-être ça.
We have English names.
Nous gen non anglais,
We have English culture.
nous gen culture anglais.
But the one thing the enemy gave us all
Yon nan bagay que ennemi en bas nous tout là,
was his religion.
c'est religion li.
There's nothing wrong with Jesus Christ,
Bagay rien qui mauvais avec Jésus-Christ.
but there's something wrong with those who use his good name to do evil things in his name.
I was told to deliver this message.